All right, people, it's the weekend. Gorgeous day here. This is the intake pipe. Got my bung for the mass airflow sensor from KB Diesel. Got that welded up. It's just waiting in primer. Gonna get some color on it here in a minute. So let's see what we got over here. So ordered a bunch of stuff last week. We've got the boot and the clamps for the intake. Got the filter itself from Street Diesel Performance, a pre-filter for the filter just because. I ordered up some 1/4-inch brake line, or 3/16 I should say, clips. And then some of these guys as well, which these are kind of like an OEM style, like a Christmas tree clip that the line snaps into. So I figure between these two, we should probably be able to get that routed pretty good. Got my oil pressure harness back from Standalone Harness. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. Picked up a bunch of 3/8 and 1/2-inch push lock hose from Fluid Dynamics, as well as these like bulkhead block type things for hose routing. So hopefully that's going to help once we go to route hoses under the truck. So the goal for the weekend is get this thing running. So the plan there, it's probably going to feed and return fuel from my fuel can and not the tank, because I haven't decided what I'm doing there yet. The cab is not wired, so the cab is not going to be part of this, but I do hope to run battery cables and, you know, kind of like redneck, get this thing running. But the difference from last time is that it'll have fluids in it this go around, which hopefully means that we can let it run long enough to get up to temp and actually just like let it run, as opposed to the 10-second little bursts that we were able to give it last time. So I'm just going to keep cracking away at this. This is probably just going to be sporadic updates as opposed to little clips here and there. So that's the plan. See if we can get it done. Got the brake lines clipped in, just with the 3/16 P clips and some self-tappers. Works fine. Follow the routing under here. Clip, plastic clip in the middle, clip over there, and then one there, and we're good. I've said before that the copper nickel is not the prettiest stuff, but it's certainly the easiest to work with. And at this point in the project, I'd much rather just get this thing on the road versus worry about making every single little detail perfect. So we got that going on. We got color on the intake pipe. I think this time I'm gonna try and use some clear to just give it some extra gloss. So now I can go ahead and throw this intercooler pipe back in. And then I can throw the fender back on, and then I can take a look at routing fuel hoses. So at the beginning, I mentioned that we would circle back to this harness. So without going into too much detail, this is a standalone harness from Ken Wolkins, which is standaloneharness.com. Basically, I had an issue. This is the extension harness for the, it's like engine oil pressure, oil level sensor, something like that in the oil pan and a ground. Basically, I had an issue with this. It was no fault of Ken or the company. It was something that I did. And I immediately contacted Ken, who replied right away, as he usually does. And basically, he was able to just kind of help me take care of this issue that I had in a timely manner, and just took really good care of me. And there was never any issues dealing with him. And he always answers questions. So I think I've said this before, but it bears repeating that if you're doing one of these swaps, this is the guy to go to. Also, if you're doing an LS swap, same thing. So just a big thank you and shout out to Ken, and I appreciate all of his continued help over the years making this swap possible. talk over the fan, but here's the setup. Basically today, I just kind of got in a rhythm and just felt like working and didn't really want to stop to take video. So we got the pipe built. I had to go out and get some hardware. We got, what else did we do? That was really it. I just had to go make a bracket for the map sensor back here, back there, and then had to make the pipe there, and then rigged up a fuel system. I think this thing is shot, or at least on its last legs, because it's kind of laboring to do this. But basically, I'm trying to do this one-handed. Fuel pump on, I think. Oops. Key on. And then right here. Just like that. Motor sounds good, no funny noises. There's a CTS2. It's got a little lope sometimes. I kind of chalk that up to the lift pump. So we're just wrapping up for the weekend, doing a cleanup of the garage and checking in on the board here. So you can see that this weekend's goal was an intake tube, brake line clips, plumb the lift pump, maybe battery cables and fluids, and we can pretty much safely say that that's all set. Couple notes there. So I do seem to have sufficient battery cables to run the truck. These two are definitely going to need to be shortened, so that'll be something to address, but at least I don't have to like buy new battery cables. Fluids we're pretty good on, except for the transfer case is currently dry, but that's because the tranny is going to come out so we can bleed the clutch probably. So anyway, I can pretty much go ahead through here, and you know, all we're going to have left is finishing up the fuel system, bleeding the brakes, bleeding the clutch, and then cab wiring. And that should at least get us to a point where this thing, you can kind of walk over to it, bump the key, and it's running. Earlier today, what I started doing was I removed the washer fluid bottle and the bracket that used to hold the ABS module from this fender. And just to kind of free up some space here, because as you can see, we have a whole mess of wiring down there. And a lot of that is going to have to come up, and it's either going to go over the back side of the booster or it's gonna come up and underneath. So I gotta figure that out. Gotta come up with some sort of mounting bracket for the PCM, and then with whatever's left for room, see if we can still keep the washer fluid bottle there. I'd like to keep it there just because it's where it's designed to go, and that'll just make life a lot easier if it can go there. But there's also a scenario in which that doesn't work. So we're gonna have to figure out fuel line routing and some other stuff. But we were able to get a pretty good chunk done on the truck this weekend, at least to the point where it's turnkey to an extent. And, you know, aside from a leaky lower radiator hose, I think we're doing okay. So hopefully next weekend we can keep chipping away at this stuff and get this thing closer to getting out on the road. So as always, thanks for watching. Really appreciate the people that do watch these videos, because I think this is a pretty cool project. I don't make these videos for the views. If I did, that'd be a pretty shitty day. But, you know, to everyone that continues watching, I do appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.